Welcome to the Transcendent Minds podcast, the podcast where we explore the mysteries of the mind and the human experience. Join us as we delve into topics such as consciousness, spirituality, and personal growth with expert guests and thought-provoking discussions. Get ready to expand your mind and discover new insights on this journey of self-discovery. Now here's your host, Peter Michael Dedes. Raven, welcome to the Transcendent Minds podcast.
Hello, everybody. So I'm just going to start from when I was little. I knew I was different. I saw spirits. I don't think like other humans. I never have. I always think I was an alien. I observe everything around me different than other people. I see things that other people don't. I hear things that other people don't. So as a kid, you're alone in that. If you grew up like me, my parents were born of the baby boomer age. I was alone in this. You tell your mom you don't want to sleep in your room because there's a monster in the closet. For me, yeah, there was a monster in the closet. So you learn and you adjust, and negative things have happened to me, like negative entities, all of those kinds of things. And it's just the same as with negative people. You got to deal with it and you got to get it out of your life. There's different ways to do that, but you got to learn who your guides are and the universal beings that you can call on to help adjust you. I have had digestive problems from the moment sperm met egg, and I was barely born. It was a traumatic. I was 3 pounds. I was in incubator forever. It just went on and on. I go clear back to Andromeda Galaxy, to pretty much the very beginning. Our life in our galaxy was seeded from Andromeda. So I know my path clear back from the very beginning. And so I know why I have all of these issues with health. And I also know why my mom had such a very hard pregnancy and why I almost was dying at all times because I'm an alien. And I'm a very social person when I'm out because I'm a Libra and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And I just want to raise people's vibrations. But even under that, I'm such a strong empath that I have to mentally prep myself and block myself to walk out the door to deal with people because they're so negative. It's just overwhelming. There's good and bad in everything. It's a blessing and a curse. That's where it started.
We'll go into that later. You emphasize the importance of understanding one's starseed lineage.
Yes.
And I'm very new to this, so you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But in my research and looking at your website and some of the work that you've done, is that understanding one's starseed lineage for overall health and vibrational alignment, you highlight the unique challenges that starseeds face as they ascend, with particular attention to the impact on physical well-being. And your journey of self-discovery through readings and your own health issues from when you were very young and personal experiences as well sheds light on the connection between cosmic origins and earthly health. Can you elaborate on the specific health trends you've observed amongst starseeds, and how do they correlate with different star lineages?
You'll find a lot of them cross over to different lineages. I had to descend to get to Earth. A lot of people have had to descend. So we're taking our vibrations down. We are in the third dimension on Earth, and the vibrations, it's pretty on Earth, right? So then you're here and you start to learn who you are and you dive into your story, and you don't want to be like that. The world doesn't have to be like that, the way that the people have made it. So you start to dive into that, and then you learn, oh, this is like a symptom of this group of aliens. And you talk to them, and I have direct contact with them if I want to. Sometimes I have to tell them to back off. It depends on who you're talking to. And this is going to sound a little weird to people now. They're going to be like, what the heck? Once you go down this path and you get into your Akashic records, that's what I'm talking about overall here. The Akashic records are the records of every living thing's energy and every life form that is taken of all time, down to an ant, down to a microbe, down to us, to aliens, to Bigfoot to whatever the heck is out there. I've seen so many things out there that sometimes I'm in awe and sometimes I have to study it for a second. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Because if you see the paranormal with your eyes, even with your third eye, and you're trying to comprehend what is this thing, like sometimes things look scary, but they are not. And sometimes things don't look scary, but they are, just like people. So when you dive into the paranormal, you have to keep that in mind and you have to protect yourself even more so because it's invisible. So you have to know your own body. And that's another reason you need to learn the health issues that can come up for you. And you can read your body and something's negative is here. Like, I got to get it out. From this path, I have learned my body down to a cellular level. That sounds silly, but I can feel it down to a cellular level of what is going on. I have a great doctor and he helps me a ton, but it's been the same thing. Like you go to your doctors, multiple doctors, you're having all of these symptoms. My major one, I have pancreatitis. I kept going to the doctors and they were like running blood tests and all of that stuff to test the levels of your enzymes and all the things that they do every time. That took ultrasounds of my gallbladder. I don't see anything wrong. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. This went on for 7 years and I knew something was wrong. I don't know if anybody knows anything about pancreatitis, but it's like one of the worst pains on the face of the earth and lots of vomiting and things involved. And I just so happened that my best friend worked in radiology at the hospital and they had a HIDA scan there. I can't tell you exactly what all that thing does because I don't work in the medical field, but what it did, what they put me in there and they injected me with like radioactive to make my gallbladder function. Whatever they were injecting into me was forcing my gallbladder to work so they could watch it. And that's when everybody was like, oh crap. And I was like, yeah, my gallbladder literally was not working for 7 years. I was putting on like tons of weight, but yet I was not eating because I couldn't, because I was just throwing up like 7 years. And finally, so that is a very good indicator that you have starseed DNA when you're constantly going to the doctor and they're like, there's nothing wrong with you. I can't find anything wrong with you. It's all in your head. They go for that. It's all in your head. It's anxiety or whatever, because that's the only thing they don't know what else to say, basically.
It's interesting you say that because last January, I thought I was having acid reflux and I was bent over in absolute chronic pain. I've never felt that kind of pain. And it was the kind of pain that I just wanted it to end. I usually have a very
Yeah.
high threshold for pain,
Yeah.
but I literally thought, I want to be dead. Take me out now.
Yeah.
It was that kind of pain.
Yeah.
And what did they find? Pancreatitis.
Yeah.
And they
And
rushed
as
me to the hospital
mhm.
and they said, we've got to operate. But I had several pathologies going on at the same time. It wasn't just the one thing.
Yeah.
And then they said, oh, you've got a cyst in your pancreas. You've got a pancreatic cyst. So I went for a scan. The first
Yeah.
time they saw the cyst. And then I went for a follow-up scan. There was no cyst there. Without me going too much into it, I totally understand and empathize. And if anybody has never had pancreatic pain, oh my
Mm.
gosh.
Yeah. And mine gets aggravated with stress. And of course, after
Yeah.
losing my mom recently, and I was determined, like, I purposely gutted my life and changed my life to make it what I want it to be. And when you go into your Akashic records, what I am seeing, you make they call them soul contracts. I like to call them energy contracts. I don't like to use the word soul because that ties too much to religion for me. So if you hear me say energy and you relate it to your soul, that's what I'm talking about. But you make your soul contract. You say, I'm going to do this and this and this and bring in these people, and you make your life before you come here. But then you have possible futures because you have free will. So there's always possible futures, which you can make yourself, but you have to be determined to do that. And after my mom died and I had to leave her home, that I took care of her and go through all of these things. And I'm determined not to go back to that state of living. I got violently ill. I was talking to my mom. She's passed on now, but she's with me. And I was vomiting very violently and I was going to pass out because life had just given me too much. And my body was literally just like purging and everything was upset, everything. And I was just like getting weaker and I was still vomiting. And of course, I got scared and I'm like, Mom, I think I'm going to pass out. And if I vomit again, I'll die. I'll suck it down. And I had to call on, sorry, I'm getting emotional because this is my mom, but I
It's
had to
okay.
call
It's okay.
on my guides. I'm like, Mom, get them here now. I didn't even have the strength to call on them. And somehow I don't even remember, but I woke up safe and sound in my bed the next day and I was fine. Like my stomach still hurt because it's not just going to go away, but all of that other stuff like stopped. But then I had another reaction, inflammatory reaction, and I had literally my whole face was fire engine red all the way down my neck with hives. Inflammatory reactions are another number one sign. Your starseed, fibromyalgia, like any of these inflammatory diseases, reactions to stress, that's a starseed thing. Lots of inflammatory things.
So,
So, yeah.
for listeners who may have not come across the term starseed, can you just give us a brief overview of what is a starseed?
Everybody is connected to the universe. We're all part of the same thing. Everybody is a starseed. Everybody was made in the universe. It just depends on how many lives that you've had so far. And you could sort those people out because if you get around people that are just very negative in life, they live negative lives, do bad things, they're just icky people, right? They have not ascended very high. They're still like way down here, probably haven't lived too many lives or learned very much from it or something, because they're still stuck down here in this earthly third dimension. Once you start to see that life doesn't have to be like that. And then you start ascending. And then you're going to start to notice, like, we call them ascension symptoms. You'll start to notice the things that you can change, the people that you can be around changes, the shows that you want to watch, the entertainment that you want. You start to change to a higher vibration yourself. So you have to pay attention to that. Like, you can't keep eating fried chicken when your body's telling you, I hate it, give me a freaking apple. Like, you, yeah, that's awesome. That's good. But you still have to listen to your body. And all of those things are going to change. And the people and the places and those kinds of things seem to have the most effect on people. I try to warn them of this. You're going to have to get rid of people in your life. You might have to move. I don't know, whatever their story is. But to be healthy yourself and care about yourself, you've got to get rid of anything negative in your life, no matter what that is. And you've got to keep it over there and keep your boundaries of, this is my space and you're not going to invade it and you're not going to harm my life. And you have to be very firm on that. This is going to make me sound like a total raging bitch, but
Not at
as an
all.
empath, I have had to learn I am a target. I am a magnet for narcissists and sociopaths, and because they feel the empathy and they just come. And I've had to learn to just be like a no nonsense, get out of my face. Like,
Mm.
I'm still single to this day for a reason because I will wait till I find my equal. People that just follow this life's pattern of whatever society has said, and then they go and date these people and they get with people and they expect them to change and be how they want them to be. The right person will just slide right into your life and that's it. There's no, yes, you'll fight and have tension and whatever. That's life, but it's not going to be negative. You're not going to have a narcissist in your life. You're not going to pick up some bad Joe Schmo. And if you just wait for that person, just wait. It'll come when
Mm.
you are ready. Even things like that, you need to protect your energy and the people that you let in your life. because they can destroy you. I literally say that my mom was murdered by my stepdad. It might have taken him 23 years, and he died before her, thank goodness, but it took him 20 some years, but he literally sucked all the life out of her and made her completely ill, her body. And yes, she chose to stay there, and that was her choice. And you just have to accept people's choices and let them live their life. But you can murder someone emotionally. Like people do that, and it's horrible. And so getting into your past lives and your past stories helps you to recognize these things only within yourself, but recognize them before they hit your life now. So it's like learning, you can't fix your mistakes if you don't learn from your history. So going back and getting your story helps a lot of things. And it helps you to understand a lot of things, the why you act the way you do, what triggers you. I have a lot of starseeds in my lineage because, like I said, I descended a lot in Octurian, Palladian, Centurion. Lyra Vega is one that's very strong in me. If you folks pull up the article and read it, I have pictures to show what these universal beings look like for
Yeah, they're
reference.
great. I've looked at them.
But
They're great.
the Lyra Vega, the Lyra is a group, but I'm also from the Vega part of that star system. So that's why it's Lyra Vega. There's two different things. So there's an avian looking group and there's a feline looking group in those. So both birds and cats, they just flock to me. And my name is Raven for a reason. That's my spirit animal. Now I'm where ravens actually are. And so I'm calling them to me every day and talking to them and having fun with them is so great. A good way to start pinpointing your own history, even if you're skeptical, even if you're not a history nerd like me, like a total history nerd, but even if you're not, whatever you're interested in history, 99%. And I have found just from reading people and talking to people, that is a past life. So even if you're interested in just military history, you have a military past life. You probably live it again in this life. Sometimes people repeat things that they do that they shouldn't do, right? It's up to each person to say, I don't want this negative stuff in my life, and I'm going to go here in order to change your life. And like I said, sometimes you literally have to like rip yourself apart and fillet yourself and just down for the count and just say, I am not doing this anymore. I surrender. This is the path I'm on. And you got to deal with that pain and just take it if you want your life to change, but not live in the pain, conquer the pain. And people, it's very scary for people to do that because they get stuck in like their habits and then they don't want to change. And then it's scary. The sooner you start doing this, the better off you are. Because if you look at senior citizens, anything that changes, they're like, and they're like losing their mind. They don't like it. Like you got to get out of that pattern as early as you can. Don't get complacent in life because you won't find out your story if you do. If you just want to sit there and keep doing the same things, it's not going to change.
There's a lot of
So,
complacency and resignation around where
yeah.
people don't recognize that any type of growth has to happen at the threshold of your comfort zone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I literally jumped off in meditation. I could see myself as a raven, and I literally just jumped off a cliff and I felt the pain of it all and lived it all, and it was awful. But now we're starting to come out the other side. I'm still dealing with the pain of my mom's death. It was just in November. I'm still adjusting to the things that I want in my life. And it's still hard days, but you got to be brave. You got to be brave.
you need
Yeah.
courage to navigate what is the rough and tumble of grief, and then looking at how you can establish an ethereal connection because that physical
Yeah.
connection may have dissipated.
The
So,
simplest trick, if any of y'all have had someone close to you die, even if you think you don't have gifts, you still know that person's energy. You still know what it feels like to be around them. So I always give people a little test. Get your mind as quiet as you can. Hopefully, they're a meditator. Meditation is very important, people, to every single person. But get your mind very quiet and just hold out your hand and just relax it there and sit and talk to that person. Ask them to touch your hand and you will feel it. It might be subtle for some people. Like I can feel my mom wrap her whole hand around my hand because I'm like used to this. So it starts off subtle, but you can feel it. It might start to feel like a little staticky, a little prickly, but you can feel something on your hand. So everybody can contact people. You just have to get better at it. So nobody's ever gone. They don't leave you. You just have to find a way to communicate with them. Sometimes people have to go find someone like me because they think they just can't. But even those little things, you can. It might be little and it might not be what you're used to, but it's still there. It's just practice.
And it's like anything, you've got to build the density, you've got to build the practice, which cultivates density, or you
Yeah,
cultivate the soil for human skills to take root, because that density determines your destinic trajectory in terms of what
exactly.
you would do and in terms of where it may lead, what it might connect to, what the significance of it is. But you've got to build it.
You've
And
got to want peaceful life and you've got to build on your gifts. Everybody
so,
has psychic gifts. Everybody. But if you're too angry and just life is just throwing a crap ton at you and those kind of things, you're not going to be in tune to this. There's too many other crazy things going on in your life. So
yeah.
that's why you have to have a quiet mind. And that's where it gets hard and so, even meditation, my clients, I give them exercises. If they are not strong meditators, I'm like, get a journal, get a timer, start setting your timer more. And every time a thought comes in your head that's not part of the meditation, oh crap, I got that project due tomorrow. Get it out immediately. And then go back to the quiet. Anything that comes in, push it out and go back to the quiet and listen to what you're being told. People get too caught up trying to control things. And trust me, I've had to go through that because I'm not controlling of other people, but I'm very controlling of my own environment. I've had to learn the hard way to let that go. So
Mm.
you've got to just listen to what the world wants from you, for you, and you'll get there. But if you're constantly in a frenzied state of mind, you can't hear it. And then you just keep doing the same stupid job that you hate. And you get stuck in those patterns because you can't hear anything because you have to be quiet because universal beings communicate telepathically. They do not like noise. They can't be here very long. We are the loudest, noisiest, grouchiest bunch of freaking things in the universe. That's another reason for quiet. If you want to get into your Akashic records and you want to start to contact universal beings, I don't know if you or any of your audience has watched any of the shows on the Gaia app. There's Dr. Stephen Greer. He's got a lot of declassified information and government stuff, but he takes groups out and there's like a whole light show going on around him. Like I can do that too. I've done that in my backyard. You have to focus and show them you're sending your mind as far as you can, but you're sending like pictures like Earth and then narrow it down to America. Picture it in your head and then narrow it down to the state and then narrow it down. Here I am. And then they'll start to come and you'll see this light show. Or if I'm asking beings to help adjust me and heal me, I will see them. And once you start to ascend further and raise your vibrations, I can go into the fourth dimension, piece of cake. I've been in the fifth, so that's still more of an adjustment for me, but it's getting a lot better. So as you raise your vibrations, you go into these different dimensions. They exist on Earth, but the normal population is not functioning in them. They're functioning still in this third lower vibration. So that's what ascending means is get out of these human habits, the anger and the hustle and bustle and the money and the greed and connect with yourself and connect with the universe. Because the things that people worry about are just, I don't get it. I just don't, it's like the greed thing, especially. It's like, when is it enough? How many freaking persons do you need? I just don't get that kind of thing in war. Very opposed to any kind of that. And the Lyra Vega part of me, that's the very strong empathic. I remember that life very well. And then I descended down and I was like a member of the Anunnaki on Earth and then various other past lives. But I remember very vividly living pretty much a utopian type life in the universe as I descended and through these different alien races. But there's good and bad in everything. So there's a bad seed of negative aliens too, and that started wars, and then all the other alien beings had to start to migrate. And it's like the Octurians, they built pretty much like ships that are like bioships. They contain everything you need for life. The Lyra did the same, and everybody just had to start like ping ponging around the universe because all these wars destroyed their planet, their home. And I remember I can't say Vesuvius, people think of a volcano on Earth, Venus, the planet. I remember that life too. I remember Octurian, my from the very beginning in Andromeda Galaxy. Like you just get more and more information. And as you start to get this, you're going to feel weird. That's the ascension symptoms. You're going to start to feel off. You're going to start to feel like I'm not thinking straight. It's just off. And so you have to ask them, you're feeding me too much information, or come and adjust me. This is like too much for me. Everybody that is ascending is going to get more and more alien DNA in them because I'm just going to say it. And if people don't believe me, that's fine. Go consult a climatologist, one that will actually tell you the truth. We've already pushed the Earth past the tipping point. It's not recoverable. They know that. Earth has to live. So you're going to start to see, and I'm not trying to play like crazy prophet cult person. This is just what I have been told from the beings. You're going to start to see a lot more, and it's happening. People just dropping dead for no reason. Like I see these articles. I don't really read the news or watch the news because it's just depression upon depression and more depression at 11. But you'll see it in your social media feed or whatever. High school kid playing football, just drops dead. 50-year-old dude working on his car. I'm seeing all these stories all the time. And there's a reason for that. They're being taken because they're going to be part of fixing the planet, but the planet's going to have to go into stasis. Calculate it in your head, folks. There's too many humans on this earth. The earth cannot sustain this many people, and it certainly cannot sustain us the way that we have tried to make it sustain us with this greedy corporate fossil fuel thing.
It's interesting you say that because somebody's having a discussion with me about climate change. And I said to them, let me say something really controversial. There's no such thing as climate change. There's only what humans have done to this planet that has caused the mess we have here.
Yes.
But in reality, there is no such thing as climate change. It's the mess that human beings have caused on this planet that has triggered these different things to happen. In terms of, you mentioned, I want to ask you, because you mentioned feeling a very deep disconnect with human tendencies towards anger and power.
Yeah. Because of the Lyra Vega part of me, I'm very like anti-money. And I literally had to make myself accept greed in order to build my business because I don't get it. There's just never enough. And there should be enough for everybody on the planet. And we could have had free renewable energy clear back for our generation. Nikola Tesla demonstrated it to everybody. And look what the government did to him. And they gave the contracts to Edison because then they could use fossil fuels and make money and everybody could get rich. So they ditched Nikola Tesla's plan. There's free renewable energy and there always has been. We killed the earth because people wanted money.
It's the meaning we give to money, because if everybody stopped believing in money, it wouldn't exist. But we have this belief in it. We put meaning towards these pieces of paper with a number on it. And then we calculate our status in life based on the amount of digits we have in the bank and the cars we drive and the houses. But again, if all of a sudden you were living on a planet where your house was worth nothing, there'd be no meaning to the value of that property. It's just what meaning
Yeah.
we give to it. When you
Yeah.
mentioned that disconnect towards human tendencies like anger and power and violence due to your origins in a more peaceful realm, how do you now navigate this contrast between your innate nature and the chaos of earthly existence?
For me specifically, I can feel the pain of the earth, and I literally have to ask sometimes for the beings to come and tune it down. I'm like, I can't take anymore. Not only feel the people, but literally the earth. And I'm like, okay, I need a break from this. Because way back in Andromeda, I was a part of creating this. So lots of people brought things to Earth to make life, and there was like mistakes made, and okay, let's try this. So you'll hear people go on some shows. There's one guy in particular who drives me nuts, but whatever. We won't mention him by name. He's on Gaia a lot, but he pretty much just bitches and complains about the Anunnaki all the time and the way that they did things and whatever. But I'm like, this is creating life. They created everything. You can't make life without making mistakes and be like, okay, that didn't work. There's even mistakes within us, which is why everything is opening up now and they're trying to get us to help raise all the vibrations because we're literally from ape DNA. And if you watch chimpanzees, which is our closest living DNA relative, they are very aggressive towards each other. That is a problem in humans. That is where we get our aggression in abusive situations and whatever happens in your life, too. But it's in us. So you got to find a way to just not be a part of the status quo. The status quo is not good. It's not good and it's not helping the earth.
How do you envision starseeds like yourself contributing to the collective elevation of human consciousness and the transition towards a more harmonious existence on this planet?
One, if you're just living your life like that and you're aiming towards that, everybody around you feels it. As soon as someone walks in with a high vibration, I'm like, I know it, I feel it.
Mm.
So you just have to start living your life that way. You can't make other people do anything. It is up to you. You got to start with yourself and then add on all the health problems that you could have, like Addison's disease, celiac disease, fibromyalgia, Graves' disease, like multiple sclerosis, all these autoimmune type things or inflammatory diseases, diabetes, heart problems, arthritis. These things can happen to people because you just eat too much freaking greasy food, right? I get it. So I'm not saying that all of these cases have to do with star seeds, whatever your health problems are. But when doctors can't find the problem, that's when you know there's more than what is going on here. If you ate bad all of your life and now you have cholesterol and had a heart attack, okay, you ate too much junky food. And speaking of food, that's another big one. Starseeds have to adjust their diet because the world is just full of processed food that isn't even food. You can't be eating that. I'm not saying I don't pop open a bag of Cheetos now and then. You've got to have fresh food. You've got to listen to what your body wants and you got to give it to it so it's happy. Even through just this change after my mom, the only meat I ever really ate was like some chicken and some fish once in a while. I've always been more of a veg person, fruit person, but even now, just since these adjustments, it took me 2 weeks to find something that my body would accept eating. And one, it was because of my pancreas, because I can't eat when my pancreas is all funky. But my body was changing too, because I was forcing it to. Because I'm like, I don't want that life anymore. I have to have this life. I'm going here. We're going flying now, right? So the first thing I found, I got pumpkin seeds. I actually bought them for my bird, but I like them too. And so I was like giving him some, and I threw some in my mouth just to see because nothing had tasted good for weeks. You'll see that. The foods that you've normally been eating, all of a sudden it just doesn't taste good. I finally found something I can eat. I was like, this sounds so stupid. Like reading the text, I'm like, I can eat some pumpkin seed. But yeah, like even just from my mom dying and me forcing this change in my life, my diet has shifted. Yeah. So you got to watch all of those things and pay attention to it. And if anybody is trying to take you away from you, get out. I know that's easier said than done in some people's situations, but you got to find a way out because it's just going to end up killing you. Your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit. Those negative people just zap it all away from you. And yeah, we don't want that. So you got to learn to block negative people, negative energies, anything you don't want around you. You got to learn to put the bubble up and nothing can penetrate that bubble. That's when you raise your vibrations, you get much better at protecting yourself from things because you're more aware of yourself and you have more self-love and you're like, I don't need this crap in my life. Whether it's paranormal or human still living, you'll repel a lot more of that stuff when you raise your vibration.
My father used to say to me, if you can measure the amount of true friends you have on one hand, you're doing very well.
Mhm.
And I can measure two friends that I have known for 30 years, and I don't see them that often. I might see them once a
Yeah.
year. It's almost like we jump into that energetic alignment.
You've
It's
had
like
past lives together, that's why.
yeah, it's something like that. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is, but I think in terms of being careful with whom you mix is really
Yeah.
important because we now know from a neuroscientific perspective that if you are very stressed, you leak
Mhm.
cortisol into your sweat, and that can transfer to others who are within a certain range of you. So then you are taking on their stress because
Yeah.
the physicality of that leakage is seeping into your sinews. So you have to be very
Yeah.
selective. It's not being snobbing, it's
Yeah.
being selective
Mhm.
because it's your environment
Yeah.
that dictates your vibration in
Yeah.
terms of the cosmic connection and earthly health. And again, correct me because some of this is very new to me, but for starseeds, what I see is that the connection to their star lineage is more than spiritual. It's a
Yeah.
fundamental aspect of their being that influences their health
Yeah.
on Earth. But the dissonance
Yeah.
between their high vibrational nature and the dense energies of the planet seems to manifest in various physical symptoms, which urges
Hmm.
them to seek harmony within
Hmm. Yeah.
somehow. In what
Yeah.
ways do you think the health issues of starseeds are connected to their cosmic origins? And how do you navigate the balance between treating physical symptoms and addressing energetic imbalances?
I actually have to call on specific entities, Thoth or Khan. He's a mantis being. I have my own squad of people. I also call on the universal beings that can help everyone. And when I'm either feeling overwhelmed or like empaths have to shut themselves away a lot because that's the only way we can recuperate is to just drown everything out and everybody go away. And now I feel better and I'll come out when I'm ready. So I have to do that. But I ask them and I tell them, I'm like, I'm having anxiety. I'm telling them what's happening to me. I'm like, I need to be adjusted. I need to calm down. Yeah, there's been quite a few of those lately, but I try to communicate with them daily, all of my guides, and have them around me all the time because they help keep my vibrations up. Everybody needs help. Everybody. Nobody can just do it on their own. You're always going to need help. So once you find out Khan, he's a mantis being. He looks like a mantis. I've seen him. They don't talk much. I ask him to come and help me. He literally shows up and he's a big dude. He's a mantis, but when he adjusts me, and this has just been my personal experience with him, somebody else might have something different because everybody's different. It feel like a electric kind of ink going into me, different places, and then I start to feel better. I can't exactly tell you what that is, but it makes me feel very peaceful. I don't know what other people would get from him to heal them because they're not me. So it would probably be different. And another thing I want to just send out there while I'm thinking about it, because there's a lot more, like it used to be these cult things would go off the apocalypse or whatever and scare people with that and the Bible. And that's how they got their cult. And now they're posing as people like me. For one, you don't need to sign up to go on some thousands of dollars spiritual retreat to do anything. Just go out in nature and take a freaking hike. Two, if you've got one person telling a collective group of people, this is what you do, and you're paying him money, and he's telling an entire group of people the same thing, you're not with a real healer because every single person is different and every single person needs something different. Don't get involved. It's a bad
It's a
thing.
racket.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
So,
racket. No, I totally
yeah,
agree
it
with you.
is.
What sort of practices have you found to be most effective in aligning your physical health with your starseed identity? Is it by what you just spoke about? Is it about calling on these galactic beings to help you heal or
Mhm.
to align your physical health
Yes.
with your starseed
Yeah.
identity?
Yeah. Because the more I change, and they've literally told me I'm going to be transforming more and more.
Mm,
Like my story and my energy that is crammed into this body, it doesn't function on Earth very well. Like, as far as nature goes, love Earth. As far as people go, it just doesn't work for me. So then they make the Earth sick, and then I start to feel that too. So the more I change, the more I'm going to have to, and sometimes I actually have to ask them to pump the brakes. I'm like, dudes, you're landing on, whoa, it's overwhelming. And they will. They'll like, okay, we'll come back to that later. Or sometimes you go into the Akashic records and you're told that's not for you yet. And you can't get there yet because it's not time yet. So you have to listen to those things too. And that's a part of letting go of control. As humans, we want everything, we want it now. And that's part of letting go of control and just letting things flow. And that is very hard for me, just like it is every other human. Trust me, I have my meltdowns and my whatevers, and then I have to like get calmed down and I have to like, okay, dudes. And I have to like try to meditate again and get back into, okay, what are you trying to tell me here? What is going on? And I can safely say that anything that has caused me pain, has caused me to melt down or hide myself away or whatever the bad situation was, it's always been people. So when people ask, because I deal with the paranormal and I've seen all kinds of craziness. Like I've even had one of those really, they're called draconians, negative alien beings. I've had one of them physically come into my presence and literally just tone me to the floor. And I had to call my friend that is another psychic that's on my level to help me. That was an experience. You're going to go through these things, but when people ask me what I'm afraid of, it's never anything paranormal. I always say people, always. I would rather deal with the paranormal than people. But if we're like
yeah.
higher vibration, then it's different. Yeah.
I'm trying to understand this is that I see that the journey of a starseed on Earth is marked by a profound shift in consciousness. And I think you talked about, I think it's known as ascension symptoms,
Yeah. Ascension
where,
symptoms.
yeah, the transition from the third to the fourth dimension can manifest as a series of physical and emotional upheavals, which
Yeah.
then challenges the very essence of what we experience as human beings. But as starseeds navigate through that transformation, they encounter unique health issues that elude conventional medical diagnosis, which often leads to exploring alternative healing modalities. And we can see
Yeah.
so many examples of this. So
Yeah.
the narrative of star seeds is not just about the struggle with health. It's also about adaptation and resilience in the face of earthly
Kids,
challenges. Can you
sorry, dogs.
describe the moment you realized that your health issues were connected to your starseed identity rather than conventional human ailments?
I didn't really catch on to that part until started reading the Akashic records and getting into that and started talking more to the universal beings. And I was like, oh, and like when things start to click and you get information and it's even something that's gone on your entire life, and all of a sudden the why is there. You're like, ah, that makes total perfect sense. And I have a lot of problems with my body just because of my energy, who I am within my energy and what I've done and the dissension I've had to go through, all of that stuff. The bigger your energy, the more alien places you have been, the more problems you're going to have with this bio body. I could feel my energy separate from my body and I can astral project. And I have left my body on certain occasions when things have been that stressful that I literally pass out and I have left my body. So astral projection is a bit different. I'm taking myself somewhere else and I know it. But if you put too much on a certain empath, then I'm like the strongest empath I've met. And I have to call on my friends to help me a lot. I have to call on the beings to help me a lot because I just literally feel everything and I have to block things all the time. So I always feel like my energy is literally just wanting to come out of this body. It doesn't like it here, it doesn't adjust here. That's the way I have felt my entire life. So if you feel that way, you've probably been to had a long Akashic Records reading, like Earth lives and universal lives.
How do you differentiate between ascension symptoms and other health concerns? What signs should one look for?
That's the tricky part, but that's the knowing yourself part. It can even manifest as like mental health conditions, but I don't pretend to be a mental health expert. But I also know if you know yourself, I know enough about myself that I don't need to go see a therapist. I know this is something going on with me that can be fixed by me. You have to know yourself on that one to discern, is this my own like actual mental health things going on? And by the way, when you start to ascend, those mental health conditions start to release because you're letting go of damage. So that will actually get better in your life. But it can seem like the same thing, right? I went through a long period of panic attacks, anxiety, all of those things, and then had a horrible stepdad that was just like killing everybody in the house. And I couldn't leave my mom in the house with him because I was scared for her. That's one of the times I passed out and left my body because of him, because everything he was doing, just a horrible person. If you don't know yourself, like they took me to the hospital, the ambulance came. I don't remember any of it. This is from other people telling me. I don't remember them taking me in an ambulance. I just remember I woke up in the ICU and I was like, okay. And they're like asking me all these questions about drugs or anything like that, mental health, anything like that. And I'm like, no, of course they didn't find anything in me. So I just passed back out and went back to sleep in the ICU at that point because I was still out of it. And the next thing I knew, I ended up in the psych ward at the hospital for a day after I woke up from the ICU because they couldn't figure out what the crap was wrong with me. And so then they sent me there and then they just had to send me home because there's nothing wrong with her. She didn't take drugs. She didn't hurt herself. I have no diagnosis of any mental disorders, nothing like that. They're like, I don't know. And then they sent me home because they can't hold me there because I didn't do anything. So there's another medical mystery. All the doctors are like, okay, she was passed out with no pulse and then came back and what? So that was an experience, but you just gotta accept those weird things in life if you want to go down this path.
How do you see the future of starseed health evolving as we move forward towards higher dimensions of consciousness?
There's a lot more the younger generation and babies being born today, they are more alien DNA. Like they're up there.
Is that what we term indigo children, rainbow kids?
Yeah. I'm an Indigo children. That started in the 70s. Yeah. But like my one bestie who's like on my level as a psychic, her daughter just had a baby. And oh, he's just a total little alien child. I love him. He can communicate telepathically. He's just like amazing. And other kids that are being born, like they're not, you can tell their energy, they are not the same as babies before. So they will be much better adjusted, hopefully, because they were born into it instead of having to figure out why do I not work in this body? Why do I not work on this earth? So they're going to have it already here. This is what I am, and I'm here to help. So it's an exciting time. The next age of Aquarius is coming in 2025. So this year, even though I live in America and I'm like, it's not a good time to be an American right now. Those kinds of things, dumbasses running for election, guns and violence and all that stuff that's going on here. So tuning that out.
But those are symptoms of an underlying current of something that is much, much greater. Because if we lock into who's up who did this, then we get entangled in that ball of string with knots in it. We undo
Yeah.
one knot, there's another knot there. But we
Yeah.
never really come to understand what tied the knot in the first place. And that is having the relationship between the seen and the unseen, or the
Yeah.
ethereal and the material realms. Because, like Carl Sagan said, we're made out of star stuff,
We are.
right?
Yeah. We have star debris. Yeah.
Yeah, that thread. It happens.
I love that.
Uh,
You're like, dang it.
what's the name of your dog?
One just took off, but this one's Kinsey. I had
Oh,
another
wow.
one right here, and he got down. That's Willie. They're both mixed. He's a reincarnated pup. He's, if people want to go back to witchcraft, which I do practice some forms of witchcraft because it's nature, but not like Wicca or anything. How they say a witch is familiar. Yeah. He's my little star dude that's followed me around everywhere. And this is the second time I've had him in this life. And it's funny because when my stepdad first died, I got him for my mom. He was just a little pup. And because I wanted to help her, I knew I had very little window of time to help her. And I tried, and she wouldn't let me. She rejected the dog and was having a panic attack over it. She was just in a bad state. Any other time, my mom would just love to have a dog. Anyway, we won't get into that. But my friend Brenda was laughing the entire time about Kenzie because, and she wouldn't tell me why. She's like, he'll figure it out. Since my mom only had him for one night, she stayed with him for one night and said, I can't do this. And there's the other dog. There's Willie. And then I took him because I was fully prepared to take him anyway if she couldn't take care of him. And as soon as he slept with me, even as a little puppy, he slept right here. I was literally like, Skippy, but he's Kinsey. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is my dog, this is my baby. And I called Brenda. She's, I told you you'd freaking figure it out eventually. She just started laughing at me. Thanks a lot. But yeah. So when people talk to me, they get all kinds of funky, licious stories.
I remember a guest, Uncle Bill, he wrote a book on animals while he was going through alcoholism. And he said, dogs, they come here to teach us many things, but one of them they come to teach us is love. And they're not here for very long, but what they do is they show us loyalty and they show us love.
That is the number one thing to focus on, that feeling, that energy when you put your protective bubble around you. If you have a child, if you have an animal, and you have felt that energy, that's what you use to put the protective bubble around you. You know what it feels like, and you surround yourself with it. That's what I have to do to go out in the world. I actually put crystals all over that protect me. It's a curse to get a bless being an empath. I could like peel anybody's mind completely open and read everything about them, but that's draining. It's a cursing and it's just both. You just got to get used to it. Being around some people knocks me out. Being around other people is just ugh. And then the ones that you want around you, then most people that are
Right.
like have gifts and can read people, they have a small group of people that are like them, that can help them and support them. They have that group of friends that are till the end, ride or die
Mm.
friends that you've known through past lives and all of that. That's my friend circle. I'm not interested in having some big group of freaking people around me. I do a lot of just little things on my Instagram for empaths on how to survive being an empath because it's hard. People suck. Like, let's laugh some more, people. Come on. But yeah, that bubble, find that feeling. And you know what it feels like. If you're narcissistic or something, you're just never going to get there. If you're a normal person, you can feel that love. And that's what you start your bubble with. But you also have to have self-love. And I focus a lot on that with my client because if you do not have that, you won't even get through these ascension symptoms. You won't make it through all of the diseases and things that can affect your alien DNA. That's why you have to get yourself out of this third dimension negative and rise above it so that you can hear and you can listen to the things
Mm.
that will actually help your life. And as far as people go, I always tell every single one of anybody I know, if they ask, you go by people's actions. You never listen to their words. You watch their actions.
Yeah.
It's like anybody can say, I love
Totally.
you. That doesn't mean they treat you good.
You
So,
can see what people want by what they do, not what they say.
yeah.
And we can all have aspirations, but we have to operationalize those aspirations. We've got to
Hmm.
humanize them into application.
Yeah.
How do you Starseed navigate the balance between acknowledging and addressing their physical health challenges whilst also embracing their cosmic origins and spiritual journey?
That's a part of asking for help. I am going through this literally yesterday. I was still broken out in hives all over my face and neck. And I had to call on them to help me. I'm like, I have a podcast tomorrow. It's very important. I need to be there. This has to go away. And it's still there. Like I have makeup on, but you can still see it a little bit. But they were telling me what to do and they were relaxing me because this is a stress reaction for me. And I do take medicine for it too to help get some ice on there, but I have to call on them to help me a
Mm.
lot because, like I said, you'll go to doctors. And so you have to go somewhere else. And even going to the alternative healing places, like doing Ayurvedic cleansing, if you go to Ayurvedic spa,
Yeah,
those are awesome
yeah, they are.
to get you aligned again and get you clear and or if you can do acupuncture or go to one of the places that I can't remember what the machine is called, but they read what your body is missing and what health problems you have. That's the path I've had to take more so than relying on my doctor.
Mm.
And then I'll go back to my doctor. Probably looks gross now. I didn't finish it because it's got honey, it's honey in it. But I have this tea that I found because I have pancreatitis. Finally, I found something that helps me. And I had to go back to my doctor and say, I got this tea. He has this tea in my chart because between him and I working together, it has taken a very long time to find something to help me. So I'm very glad I at least have a doctor that knows and understands why I go to these other places. And then I share this information with him and he's on board with it because doctors can't solve all of this stuff like a thyroid test. I know there's things going on with my thyroid. I've said it for years, but they can't find anything because when they run blood tests, everything looks normal. But it could also be that yeah, maybe your levels are normal, but maybe there's something in your body making it so that you cannot absorb those enzymes and everything that the hormones and all of the things that your endocrine system produces.
Mm.
So that's the kind of test that doctors can't run. then you have to go on this journey of your own. And I found something that will help me with my endocrine system problems. It's very back and forth, and you do still have to go to your regular doctor and make sure things are safe to combine with whatever
Sure.
medicines you have and all of that stuff. But you have to go on a self-discovery because you know something's wrong, but nobody can find it in the regular doctor mode. So it forces you to go. And anybody that's had a lot of trauma, to get through that, you're going to have to flay yourself. You're going to have to rip yourself to pieces to let it go. And that's just the truth of it. And it sucks. And it's the hardest thing you will ever have to do. Nobody tells you that part is when you get out of the bad situation, no matter what the situation was, that's when your body starts to react and freak out, not while you're in it trying to survive. So keep that in mind. And even I have not done this, but if somebody was like a severe trauma, like suicidal, just didn't want to be here, had a hard life, like even doing like ayahuasca. I don't know who can venture down to South America do ayahuasca in a hut with the tribesmen down there, but stuff like that helps because it opens your mind. But it's good to know like where you're going because like down there they have practitioners that help people through it. They have
Mm.
medicine men, they have shamans to help keep you calm if people are freaking out or because you're going through things, you're going through emotional things. So even if you smoke some weed or take some shrooms, I don't promote any heavy drug use whatsoever. Just that. But even if you just go there, you got to be very careful because if you've gone through trauma and you have not faced it, those kind of drugs will bring it right here in front of your face.
Yeah.
And that's why doctors, like I have prescription marijuana because I have pancreatitis, but doctors will say, you can't get down that way, but okay. Doctors will tell you it causes anxiety. Like my doctor has said that causes anxiety. It doesn't for me because I face my things, but I have seen it just marijuana. If you have not faced in your things and cleansed yourself of them, not just a little buzz, but get stoned. It's right here in front of your face, and you might have a full on meltdown right there.
Mm.
So those kinds of things can help you, but you need to make sure that there's also someone there that knows what they're doing to bring you back. Sometimes I have clients that come to see me like face to face if they live near me, and I've had them under deep hypnosis, pulling through their mind and getting the things, and they're just laying on my table. I'm feeling their energy the entire time. And if they start to freak out, I pull them out gently. I shake them, I talk to them, wake them up, and I have apples all the time because apples will ground you back. It'll bring you back to earth. So they're going somewhere where I'm taking them, but if they start to freak out, I'm like, no, no, let's come on back. So you got to trust the person that you're with and you got to know that they know what they're doing. You can't just show up to any psychic's door or you might be asking for more problems because even within this world, like there's good and bad.
There's light and shadow and everything. And this has become quite problematic with ayahuasca tourism, where people just
Mm,
go to experience it. But like you say, if you haven't got controlled conditions, if you haven't dealt with the
yeah,
psychic residue that has built up in your body and in your
yeah,
mind, and you haven't dealt with that, you haven't faced with it, which again, I know in my coaching practice with clients who I've had for over a year dealing with trauma, not because I want to build codependency with them, but because
yeah,
for those crystallized patterns to take root, it takes time. It's not an instant gratification. It's having sustained transformation so they can finally let it go, like
yeah,
throwing off an old winter coat they don't need anymore that's weighing them down, and then
yeah,
experience a different type of lightness, a different type of feeling. And that can move them on to the next zip code, if you will.
yeah. Have to remember that your body and your mind is going to want to stick with the familiar, even if it's bad. And so it's going to go in a panic like I did. I forced a major change in my life, not just a small one. Boom. And so I knew I was going to feel something. I didn't know it was going to be that dramatic, but if you want to change your life, it depends on what you're doing, but you got to just go through it and you got to
And
feel it.
for many people, it's far easier to stay with the pain rather than deal with the investment in oneself to move beyond that pain and do the work of it, do the
Yeah.
developmental work. Do you have any insights or advice that you would offer to starseeds who are struggling with chronic health issues or seeking greater alignment with their cosmic purpose through their physical existence?
That's where you get your Akashic records read. I think everybody on Earth should get their Akashic records read because it will help everybody know who they are. But not everybody gives a crap. So that's okay. But it's important when you're having all of these things to get your Akashic records read because it's going to give you so many answers. Sometimes I get people with just your Andromedan, and I just get one alien universal being thing, and then there's some Earth stuff. Sometimes people are like me, and they've been floating around in the universe darting around and other alien beings for very long time, came down to Earth, have had many lives on Earth, and those are always fun. Those readings get very interesting. I'll show people this presented itself to me. Pine cones present themselves to me because of a past life when I was in Anunnaki and their representation of knowledge. And if you look at any of the stone carvings in old Mesopotamia and of the
Yeah.
Anunnaki, they are holding pine cones. I'm not sure what they did to this, but it's a real pine cone, but it's cemented in or something. I don't know. But I found it in a spiral place. Spirals have a reason. So I was walking the spiral and it called out to me, but there was other things there. People leave things. I know it's mine, but I was afraid to take it. Everything was telling me to take it. It was mine. So I'm like, okay. So I took it, but I came right back with something to offer for me taking it. So I hold on to this. When I read people remotely, you will get your entire reading is done before you even talk to me. And then I have a book which I write everything in and it's like rubber banded together. But I start writing and
Wow.
jotting and whatever information I get. And that's where it starts. And then I take all the information and I put it in a really nice long PDF with like pictures and whatever pertains to or whatever can help you. I can do live readings on people, but I'm always blocking people because I'm an empath. So
Mm.
people get thrown off by that with me because they're like, well, if you can't read me right now, you can't just walk up on somebody and be like, yo, give me a reading right now. No, I'm not like I haven't even opened myself, but if I let my guard down and just stand there with somebody, I could tell you your whole life story. But I don't want to do that because it's draining for me. So that's why I
Course.
don't do live readings. And plus the Akashic records, you have to just go into alone. You have to ask for permission and you have to be in the right state of mind. If you're in a frantic state of mind or anything like that, you're not going
Mm.
that day. You have to be very calm and you have to ask for permission and then you get taken in. And it looks different for everyone that goes in there. Like mine looks like a never ending library because I'm a history nerd and books. And so that's what mine looks like. But I know a friend of mine, he is very good at math, like one of those people that can solve complex math problems in their head, right? So when he goes in, he literally sees gears like a clock, like all of
Mm.
these gears. So it presents different to everybody because everybody's different. And so I'll ask, I have to get someone's full name and their birth date. That's what you have to have. And you ask to go in. And then I tell them if somebody asks specifically for something, I ask about that. If they didn't ask specifically, then I'll say, what do you want them to know? And that's what I start to write down from there. And then I'm also just listening to everything around me, any spirits that are attached to them that have messages, anything in the universe. I listen to all of it because you never know. Like I work very well with elementals, so I'm very comfortable with that. Other people are not. Like my other friend that's on this level with me, she's very good at dealing with negative spirits and demons, and she's the one I called to get that thing off me that showed up. I send that crap to her And she sends elemental stuff to me. That's why you can't get in front of one person and be like, this is the key to
Yeah.
everything. It's no, it's just not. It's not. So be prepared to feel weird and off and mood changes. And it does seem like a mental illness at first. And not many things shock me anymore, but sometimes they do. And when I saw that one thing come in my presence, that shocked me. And then I had to sit there and contemplate it in my mind forever to make it click. You're just going to go through crazy things and get this information. But once you just settle with it and contemplate it, and then think about yourself and your own personality. You get a lot of that from your parents and your upbringing and whatever is around you. But even me, like my family was never like outright racist or anything like that. Like I'm half from West Virginia, half Southern, but they were in a way because my uncles would shit their pants if my cousin showed up with a black boyfriend or something. But they never said it. But I remember it was way back. I know I'm dating myself. I was a little kid and it was the presidential elections, and Jesse Jackson had decided to run for whatever reason. And I just naturally root for the underdog. And plus, we've never had a black person in politics. And I even knew that as a child, how different this was. And I didn't understand the whole thing saying, I said it out loud. I would vote for Jesse Jackson. And everybody's forks at the dinner table just dropped. I'm just a little kid. And you find out even within that, I didn't pick up on any of that kind of stuff from my family or anything. I've always just had my own thoughts and seen things. And it's just always been that way ever since I was a kid. Whatever that, if it's negative, I just knew it and I just didn't subscribe to it, even if it was all around me. So I'm very different like that. But yeah,
Mm.
that was a funny moment. Yeah, I'd vote for Jesse Jackson. So a part of going into your Akashic records is also break generational curses within your family. Those kinds of thought processes or abuses or those things that get passed down from parent to child and next and the next. And that's a good way to break those generational curses too.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. As we draw to the end of this conversation, I want to first of all extend my deepest gratitude to you, Raven, because your profound insights into the intersection of cosmic origins, the challenges, and the transformative power of embracing one's starseed purpose has illuminated my understanding in ways that I couldn't have imagined in one sense. Your journey is marked by resilience, empathy, an unwavering determination, which I see as serves as a beacon of inspiration for anyone who's seeking to explore the depths of their own existence and unlock their hidden potential within.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for sharing your wisdom and guiding us through this cosmic labyrinth with grace and compassion. Do you have any parting words and where can people find you?
Everything is listed under psychic, empath, raven, willow. So add a .com onto that. That's my website. That's my Instagram. That's my TikTok. Facebook, I think, just says Raven Willow because they wouldn't let me use the whole thing. But you could find out most about me by going to my website because I write articles and publish things there that can just help people if they want to look through it. And there's all kinds of stuff in there. So my website's the best. But I do post on TikTok and Instagram to help empaths, and TikTok is more for starseeds.
Beautiful. And this part of the show, I call this the Soul Spotlight segment. And so it's just a fun question. So my question to you is, if you were to create your own constellation, what would it be called and what story would it tell?
I don't know what it would be called. I'd have to think of a really cool name for it. But it would definitely be more of a utopian society, no greed, no money, none of this. There's room for enough and enough for everybody and heal people, just heal people. And it sounds silly and people still make fun of it when they call people tree huggers. Literally, if I am having a bad time, I will go out and hug a tree. It helps. It really helps.
Scientists have found that evergreens release terpenes, and those terpenes help reduce cortisol and inflammation in
Yep.
human beings when you walk past them.
Yes.
So this tree hugging
Yes.
thing, because people catch on to this cultural vomitous yuck, these
Hmm.
narratives that people just repeat because they've heard
Yeah.
it somewhere else. Yeah, it's a bit
Yeah.
like when somebody says to me, "Don't walk under a ladder." And I'd say, "Why?" "Oh, it's bad luck." "Why is it bad luck?" "Who told you it was bad luck?" "Where'd you get it from?" Actually, it traces all the way back to ancient Egypt. There's a whole metaphysical explanation about it. It's been a beautiful conversation. And I can sense from you that there's this voluminous
Yeah.
archive.
I'm always bursting at the seams and I
Buzzing.
never stop asking why. I never stop wanting to learn and I never stop pushing forward to learn. Like, I'm very careful though. You can become like Aleister Crowley and start off in wonderment and pushing forward and wanting to know, and then, oh crap, things gone awry. When you're raising your vibrations, you're very aware of
Oh gosh,
anything
yeah.
negative around you. And he didn't do that. And he just kept going. And then he gone off the dark side now, dude.
What's been your experience today on the show?
Love this show. This is like easy, smooth conversation, and the questions are deep, like you want to know. And I'm glad like you just let me talk. I'm always myself anyway. If people think I'm weird, then they don't have me on their podcast again. But it was like good flowing conversation. It's good to get the information out there and people know a place that they could come and find help. If you're suffering and you're going through these things, I work with people if you can't afford me, but you have to like help promote me at the same time. So don't be afraid to like contact me, even if you're just scraping the bottom of the barrel for money. Just contact me. Like, I'm a big girl. I can figure out when people are taking advantage of me. And otherwise, the sessions are $200. But when it breaks down to it, I'm making about $9, $10 an hour because it takes me hours to do the reading and then it takes me hours to do up your PDF. And then I got to get you on Zoom. So it was a big, long process for me. And that's why we charge. A lot of people ask, why are you charging so much for this? Why are these psychics charging? We got to help repair ourselves too. And we got to get information for you. And we have to have tools for that. It's like any other thing, you know, it's
You're not a
not that
charity at the
full.
end of the day. And one thing I usually say to my clients, I say, look, I can always give you your money back. That's not my policy, but I can never give you your time back. So think
Yeah.
carefully before you invest, because this
Yeah.
is your time you're talking about, and you
Yeah.
can't have it twice. I don't think
No,
you can this
no.
time around.
No. And that's why I say reach out, even if you're just struggling. Because, like I said, I don't subscribe to the greed system. And the more people that I can help to raise the vibrations, the more people anybody can help, it helps the world as a whole. So I've had people that I've helped for free. I've had people that I've helped for whatever they can afford. There's also been people that I'm like, okay, no more because you're taking advantage, or there's actually been clients that I've dismissed. It's not that I'm trying to force people to do things. I let people do whatever they want in their life, but that doesn't mean I have to keep them as a client. If
Mm.
they're doing things I know that are causing them harm and I've told them it's causing you harm, or I know some mediums that have massive amounts. I had to close it off because it was impacting me so bad. There was an endless sea of like military people. I was seeing Romans, I was seeing Pearl Harbor, and that's not my shtick. That's why at me as a medium, I don't get those spirits. But this client has a gazillion of them, and he hasn't done anything about it yet. And they're waiting for him. And you could release all of these people with your gift and raise the vibration of the earth and help them get out of here, help them release. And that's when I will help anybody accomplish those things safely. But then when they just blow everything off and they're just not doing anything, it's like, pointless for me and it's pointless for them. So it's like, why are you paying me? If I feel like somebody really doesn't want it and they're not doing it, then I'm
they got
like,
to apply it in their lives.
This podcast is literally the first thing that has come since I've lost my mom. And you have no idea how excited I was for this. And just, this is awesome. We're going to have an awesome podcast today, and we're going to reach out to some people, and hopefully something I says touches them, and hopefully we get some clients from it. Like I said, even if you guys think you can't afford it or whatever, just message me. There's a message thing on my website. It doesn't matter. And you can even ask questions. I'll reply to your questions. I won't give you a full reading. I'll reply to your questions. So this was very exciting to me, and I'm very thankful for it today.
Well, you're most welcome. It's really an honor and a privilege to speak with you and to get to know you and understand more about your journey and to see where it goes from here.
I want to be on again, by the way. I love this podcast.
You can always come back. You can always come back. Stay in touch. Reach out to me. You've got my email. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I will be in touch with you once I put it all together.
Awesome.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye. That's it for today's episode of Transcendent Minds. We hope you enjoyed this exploration of the mysteries of the mind and the human experience. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, we would love to hear from you. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts. And if you feel inclined, please leave a rating and a review, as this goes a long way. And follow us on social media to stay up to date with the latest episodes. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep transcending your mind.